All right, good morning. One thing popped up here. We're going to give Darnell Wright a rest day. We track these guys, GPS and all that. And so, when the numbers get such, we're going to just make sure we're smart, particularly this early in camp. So he won't be out there today, but I think for the most part, all the injury stuff should be updated. And then in terms of practice yesterday, man, it was red zone, some 2-minute mixed in there. Thought there was really good competition across the board. Defense certainly early in practice got the better of the offense, and then I thought the offense started clicking towards the end there just a little bit better. So focus, intensity, it's all there right now, and we'll transition a little bit today and do a little bit of third down. Open it up from there.
Ozzie get a look at right?
Say it again?
Will Ozzie get a look at right?
I have not talked to Coach Rochar. This was kind of a thing that we decided this morning to do. Yeah.
What do you mean exactly with the GPS kind of flying?
Yeah, we track it. It's no. It's accelerations, decelerations, it's volume. So it's a lot. It's a very complex formula that we're just trying to stay on top of this early in camp.
Is it injury or was
No injury. Rest day.
With Braxton, was the rest day always kind of built into the plan, or?
Yes,
was that
yeah.
resulted kind of like this?
Very similar. Yeah, there we have a plan for everybody, and then we've got a great performance team that they're on top of things, they're ahead of it, and so when things start trickling down, we just want to be proactive rather than something minor turn into something big.
And Declan was saying yesterday, you can't waste failure on any individual play out here. You got to make the most of it and be productive with it. When you went back and looked at the red zone interceptions that Caleb had in 7-on-7, what did you kind of make of that to be productive with those going forward?
Yeah, one of them was a bang play. I thought our receiver could run the route just a little bit better to separate more. I think in hindsight, he should see how tight that coverage is and keep progressing. I think he can learn from that one. And then the second one that he had down there was really, we talk about on the back of the end zone, high back five throws. So if you're throwing those things, it's got to be us or nobody. And he kept it a little bit too low, and so TJ was able to pick that thing off. So once again, these are things that you learn from, and unfortunately, sometimes you have to do it a couple times to get burned by that hot stove before you realize, hey, I don't want to touch that anymore.
You mentioned that you guys aren't anywhere cleared English. He said that you guys aren't done with the install yet. How much of it have you done?
We hit install 4 last night, and I think we got 12 going in. So it's healthy.
The pressure period that Declan talked about being intentional. What are the coaching points there for Caleb? I think it was when Sweat went through the right edge unblocked twice in an 11-on-11 period. What are you hoping that Caleb does under those situations?
Be smart with the football, protect the football. We talk about avoid disaster. Things like that, unfortunately, happen occasionally. We want to minimize those. When we're inserting new protection schemes, those tend to happen. But the good news is when they do, our guys up front, they're learning from it. They're not allowing it to happen again. So what we want to see from Caleb is to not throw the ball away while we're in the pocket. We got to be smart with it. There are times we got to eat it and just go down. And then part of his superpower is he's going to be able to break some of these tackles, even though we're calling him dead in practice with a sack. He's going to be able to escape and make something out of nothing.
Coach, how do you reconcile keeping the standard while going through these growing pains and not getting too frustrated with it so early in the process?
Well, we're not frustrated at all. We're right where we need to be. In fact, I told the unit last night to see where they came from the springtime to where we've been for 3 days. We're not having to coach alignment. We're not having to coach finish. We're not having to coach the standard, as you say. Now we're coaching football. Now we're reading coverage and we're able to accumulate reps. And like I alluded to before, the beautiful thing about it is our guys, man, they're learning. We're not making the same mistake twice. And that goes for the guy that's getting the rep, and that goes for the guys that aren't getting the rep. They're learning from everything. So, we're not frustrated whatsoever.
How does your aggressive nature as an offensive coach shape your vision for defensive football?
Very similar, and that's where I've talked about it a few times with DA. His DNA, his thought process is very much the same. I mean, we were just talking about it the other day, just in terms of starting practice early with that pressure period. That's a good way to wake our guys up. There'll be some games that we want to go in and we want to do that. We want to heat up and put some pressure on the opposing offense. But at the same time, we're also going to be very smart and calculated when that occurs. So he's got a great feel for that, and that's the best thing about him having all the experience that he has.
When you look at the game plan for Montez Sweat before, what was unique about him, kind of when you would approach those games against them?
Yeah, I mean, when he turns that thing on, he is hard in the pass rush game. It is hard to block him. You have to account for him. You move him around right side, left side, makes it even more difficult because you're looking to help your tackles out with some chips and some nudges, and if you don't know where he's going to be, then that makes it that much harder. So I think what I've seen from him, met with him in the springtime, and everything that we sat down and we talked about is exactly what he's been about. I think that speaks volumes for his character. He was very disappointed with how the season went last year, as a lot of the guys in the locker room were, both individually and as a team, and was felt such a way, so compelled that he was here throughout the springtime, which is not something that he's done in the past. He's committed to this team. He's committed to getting better. And so I've been very pleased with what I've seen from him so far.
Man, is it impressive that through the first day, right, you end up throwing the first team offense out of the drill. Second day, still have some pre-snap issues, but that third day, it seemed like the pre-snap issues were kind of all worked out, couple false starts there, but it wasn't you having to stop the drill to tell them to re-rack the play.
It's getting better. It's not where it needs to be, though. I made a big deal last night. The center quarterback exchange, we've had at least one each day, and that's that high school hairy stuff that we gotta get out of. And like you said, the procedure stuff as well. That's stuff we can clean up. The pre-snap penalties, that's what we want to eliminate. So we're not there, but like you said, I do feel it going down slowly.
As you work with Caleb, a lot of what you're describing over the last 6 months or so since you've been here is literally from the ground up with his footwork. How much or what is reasonable to expect to have carried over from last year? As you try to teach him, what does he already have from playing a full season?
There really isn't a ton of carryover from what he was asked to do, the play calls or anything of that nature. I mean, he's always been very comfortable as a shotgun quarterback going back to college, and even last year. He's very comfortable in a 2-minute setting. He's very comfortable with tempo type plays. And so now we're asking him to be a little bit more structured in terms of the play calls. Sometimes there's multiple calls. There's shifts, there's motions. There's a lot more going on mentally than probably there's ever been for him. And so at some point, this thing will start slowing down, and he's going to be able to catch up, and his physical ability will take over from there. But right now, because mentally it is what it is, he's playing a little bit slower than what he's capable of.
Is there anything that is, he's not a rookie. Is there anything that you get from those 17 games last year, at least in seeing defenses, seeing personnel? Is there anything that is already built?
Yeah, because I wasn't here, I can't speak entirely to that. But sure, I think he understands what a training camp's going to be about. He knows what a game week is going to look like. There's some things that hopefully the anxiety level goes down because, okay, I know what to expect now. But it's still, there's a lot different than what there was for him a year ago.
Ben, it's a little bit of a spin-off to Brad's question. When you kind of trace your mentality as an attacking offensive play caller and overseer, do you know the origins of when you decided that was going to be who you were? I mean, does that go back to when you were like 6, or is it something that along the way?
Yeah, I mean, it probably a light came on for me when I got fired from Miami, and I was out for however long that was, 6-7 months of football, and then fortunately got an opportunity there in Detroit to stay in the NFL. And I think at that point it was, you know what, go big or go home.
With the benchmarks that you've given us for Caleb that you want him to reach this year, when you mentioned 70% completion percentage, what's the balance going to be in teaching him in certain situations? Don't worry about the completion percentage, throw the ball away. It might be an incompletion versus taking a sack, specifically in some of those pressure situations.
Yeah.
How do you have to coach him there?
Yeah, each play's a little bit different, and that's the hard part for a guy like that's been such a dynamic playmaker. When things break down, is trying to scale them back just to a little degree to make sure we're taking care of the football and we're being smart for the benefit of the team. And so you talk about the sack number being high from a year ago and how we can bring that down. I think that's one way we can do that, is just looking to get that ball out of his hand a little bit quicker, whether it is a completion or a throwaway.
And you talk about Ozzie in the classroom and the maturity you've seen from
Yeah.
him so far. How have you seen that translate to the field?
He doesn't speak very much. You know, he's like a lot of these rookies that they're swimming, and that's a good thing. He just wants to find his way. He wants to compete, which he's doing a great job of right now. He's taken some lumps. The defensive line in general, they got after the offensive line yesterday in practice, and so we're learning, we're growing from it. But he is mature, and when he has a misset, he looks to correct it. Coach Rochar, Coach Devan, they're all over him on that, and so the maturity level, guys like that have a lot of self-awareness of who they are as athletes, they tend to stick around in this league for a long time because they know what they're good at, they know their limitations, and they find a way. Yeah.
Luther gonna go today?
Not today, but hopefully soon.